So how do you win? You make a weapon, you kill the mothership. How do you lose? Aliens blow you up. How do you play? Stick around for 11 minutes, and I'll show you. As the invading mothership descends on Earth, humanity has been forced to shelter in underground bases to hide from the bombardment. As the leader of your base, you must develop a weapon to destroy the aliens while also expanding your base and dealing with the enemy ships. Welcome to Legendary Tactics. This is a solo game under falling skies. It takes 20 to 40 minutes to play. You get 9 cards, 7 6-sided dice, 11 tokens, and that is it. It is a very compact game. In terms of the setup, 1. Set up 7 cards above each other to form a continuous image. Check out this picture. Set the card with the energy and research tracks where you can easily reach it. The cards are double-sided, being easy on one side and difficult with a star in the top right corner on the other. For your first game, use the easy side. In subsequent games, you can increase the difficulty by flipping any number of cards to their difficult side. Each star adds +1 level, and this is up to level 8. 3. Place 5 green enemy ships on the starting spots on the motherboard card. 4. Place 4 white tracker cubes on their starting spots. These are marked with a small white square on the research track, energy track, damage track, and 1 on your base as an excavator. 5. 5 dice, these are 3 black ones and 2 white ones, should be kept nearby. 6. Leave the blue robot dice and 2 red enemy ships aside for now. Let's go to the gameplay. Your goal is to develop a weapon to destroy the approaching alien mothership before it gets too close and before your base takes too much damage. You win by getting to the last space on the research track. The game plays in rounds until you either win or lose. Each round consists of 3 phases. 1. Place dice and move ships. 2. Resolve rooms. 3. Move the mothership. Let's start with the first phase. Place dice and move ships. At the start of the round, roll 5 dice, 3 black ones and 2 white, and place them one at a time on the available spaces in your base. White dice have a very special function. When you place one of them, you have to re-roll all of the remaining dice that have not yet been placed. Each time you place a die, all enemy ships in the die's column descend towards your base. They move a number of spaces equal to the number shown on the die. If the final space has an icon, resolve that effect. You see the explanation that I'll get to in a few moments. When a ship reaches the lowest space of its column, your base takes 1 damage. Move the damage marker accordingly and put the enemy ship on the mothership card. This will be respawned later. The die placement has a few restrictions. Each space can only contain 1 die. You can place only 1 die in each column, and dice can be placed only in excavated rooms except for 1 die that can be placed in a room or tunnel to move the excavator. The space under the excavator is not yet excavated. Continue placing dice until you place all 5 and resolving enemy movement after each die. Then proceed to resolving rooms. So, if a space where the arrow points is empty, move the ship there. Note that a ship that moves to a different column will move again when you place a die in its new column. And move the mothership card 1 row closer to your base. This is bad because the mothership moves closer, but it gives you some control of the mothership effect that happens at the end of the round. And the explosion doesn't have any immediate effect when the ship lands on it, but it allows you to shoot down the ship later by activating a fighter with a die of a sufficient value. Your base takes 1 damage. Here's an example of already excavated rooms. And this is the excavator. Let's move to the second phase. This is resolving rooms. Once you've placed all 5 dice, resolve them one at a time in any order you choose. After resolving a die, set it aside. Using rooms. To be able to use a room's effect, you have to spend the indicated amount of energy. If you don't have enough energy or you don't want to spend it, remove the die with no effect. Effects are explained in a moment. If the room has a modifier above it, the modifier applies to the die when you resolve the room's effect. However, enemy ships descend according to the die's unmodified value. A room with multiple spaces can only be used if every space has a die. All of the room's effects are resolved with the value indicated by the sum of the dice in the room. If the room has a modifier, apply it only once. Here's an example of a -3 modifier, and the energy consumption is 3 here. You need to spend 3 energy and place 2 dice in this room to be able to use its effect. In the example above, the total value is 4. 1 plus 6 minus 3 equals 4. So you would resolve both effects with this value. Moving the excavator. A die can be placed on a not yet accessible space to move the excavator. The die value has to be the same or higher than the length of the route from the excavator to the die, and moving the excavator always costs 1 energy regardless of the number of spaces that it moves. So if you spend 1 energy and the die value is high enough, replace the die with the excavator token. Otherwise, only remove the die. So unlike the other rooms, this effect, the -1 and the blue arrow pointing down, applies as soon as you place the die. When you move enemy ships in this column, they move 1 space less. If you place a 1 here, the enemy ships don't move. If you have a yellow square with electricity in the middle, add the die value to your current energy. If the total is more than 7, set energy to 7. The orange square is a fighter. Shoot down all enemy ships on explosion spaces that have a number less than or equal to your die value. Put the shot down ships on the Mothership card to be respawned later. A green square with the alien face means that you need to advance on the research track. To advance to the next space, the die value must be greater than or equal to the value shown on that space. You can advance multiple spaces if the value is at least as high as their sum. To move through space 3 and land on 1, you need a 4 or higher. And a blue square with a robot face in it. This is construct a robot. Take a blue die and set it to the value of this room. Place the blue die in any of the unoccupied space of any excavated room. This blue die becomes a robot. A robot can be used just like any other die, during the resolve room step once per round, except during the round in which it was placed. After use, the robot remains on the board. You decrease its value by 1 and rotate it 45 degrees to show that it's been used. Rotate it back at the end of the round. You can choose not to use the die, in which case it remains on the board and keeps its value. If you use a robot that is already a 1, remove it instead of decreasing it. When you place a dice, you still place 1 die in each column, ignoring the robot dice. You can choose to remove a robot at any time, and robots never move enemy ships. Here's an illustration to show how to move the excavator ahead 4 spaces. You place a 4, 5, or 6 on the space the excavator moves to. Note that you can place the die even on a tunnel space. Next round, you'll be able to use the newly excavated rooms. Woohoo! Phase 3, this is moving the Mothership. Resolve the glowing symbol under the arrow on the Mothership card. You can see the symbol's explanation here. Then, move the Mothership down to the next row. If any ships are in this row, move them to the Mothership card. Finally, respawn all enemy ships on the Mothership card. To respawn enemy ships, place ships 1 by 1 on unoccupied starting spots according to these rules. Green ships are placed before red ships. Place ships only in empty columns if possible. And if every column has a ship, choose a starting spot with the most empty spaces between it and the column's top ship. If there are multiple options, the choice is yours. If you run out of spots, leave any unspawned ships to be spawned next round. You can see the Mothership effect places a red ship on the Mothership card. When the Mothership moves, the green ship in the top row returns to the Mothership card. And the leftmost and rightmost columns are empty, so the ships must be placed in those starting spots. Finally, the remaining spots are each the same distance from their column's topmost ships, so the red ship can spawn in either spot. So here's the symbol if your base takes 1 damage. Here's your symbol to move the excavator, indicated the number of spaces, back along the track, and you remove any robot dice in the way. Here's the symbol to move the tracker on the research track back, the indicated number of spaces. And here's the symbol for putting one red enemy ship, if available, on the Mothership card. And the red ship works the same way as a normal ship, except that if it's shot down, it will be put aside instead of being respawned. The game end. You can lose the game in two ways, either when the Mothership descends to cover the skull symbol, or when your damage marker moves to the skull symbol on your base. You win if you get the research marker to the last space of the research track. So this game is based on the successful PNP version. CGE is releasing under Falling Skies this year with lots of great new content. It's got new graphics, cool miniatures, a campaign mode, 20 plus unique cities, and game-changing missions. So watch for this game from Czech Games Edition. Should be pretty cool. Good luck playing.